Okay, so we're always talking about making AI helpful and harmless. But that brings up a really big question, right? How do you teach a machine our complex, kind of messy, and always changing human values? Today, we're going to dig into a new approach that might just be a total game changer.
So, really, it all comes down to this. When you ask a chatbot or an AI for something, how does it actually know if what it gives you is a good answer or just a bunch of fancy words that sound right? The secret, it turns out, is a special kind of AI that acts like a judge. And here it is. It's called a reward model, or just RM for short. You can pretty much picture it as an AI judge. It learns by sifting through thousands, and I mean thousands, of examples where a person has said, "Yep, I like this response more than that one." Then, this judge uses that knowledge to score new answers, basically pushing other AIs to give us the stuff we actually want. But, and it's a big but, this whole system has a massive flaw. And that gets us to the heart of the problem with the old way of doing things. These AI judges are, well, they're just incredibly rigid. Think about it like this. Imagine you hire a book critic who is the absolute world's foremost expert on science fiction. But then you ask them to review a history book, or maybe some poetry. They'd be totally useless, right? That's exactly what current reward models are like. They are trained for one very specific job with one set of rules, and they just can't adapt. So, what does that look like in the real world? It means if you want your AI to suddenly be funnier, or more concise, or anything different really, you have to start from scratch. You've got to pay people to label thousands of new examples, train a whole new specialist judge, and then use that to train your main AI. You have to repeat this entire, expensive, super slow process for every single new rule. It just doesn't scale. And you know what's worse? Because these judges are just learning from examples without any explicit instructions, they start to pick up all these weird, unintended biases. A classic example is the length bias. The model just figures out that, in its training data, longer answers were often marked as better. So it learns a simple rule. Longer is better, even if the long answers, full of mistakes, are just plain wrong. So, what's the fix? Well, this is where things get really cool. A group of researchers proposed a revolutionary idea, one that is so intuitive it's almost funny. Instead of all this complicated training, why don't we just tell the AI what the rules are? I mean, seriously, what if we could build one flexible AI judge? One that you could just hand a new instruction to, in plain English, and have it immediately change how it scores things based on that new rule. No retraining, no new data, just new instructions. And that right there is the core idea of what's called a principle-following reward model. It's an AI judge that isn't hard-coded with one set of values. It can change its mind, it can adapt its entire judgment system based on a new rule, what they call a principle, that you give it on the fly. And this brings us to the model that actually does this. Developed by researchers at Peking University and WeChat AI, it's called RewardAnything. And it's designed to be that perfectly adaptable judge. So check this out. Instead of spending months and a whole lot of money on retraining, you can just give RewardAnything a principle like this one. You can tell it, hey, for this task, I want you to reward answers that are a little more humorous or more concise or have a specific tone, whatever you need. So how does it actually think about this? Well, the model gets the principle, in this case, be funny. Then it looks at the different possible answers and kind of reasons it out. It thinks, okay, response number 1 is just a boring no. But this other one, it starts with a little joke and then redirects the user. That one fits my new rule much better. Now that all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But does it actually hold up in practice? Well, the researchers put RewardAnything through some seriously tough tests to find out. All right, test number 1. Remember that annoying length is better bias we were just talking about? They decided to tackle that head on. They used a really hard benchmark test called RM Bench, which is full of tricky questions where the short, correct answer is pitted against a longer but wrong answer. And here's the kicker. They didn't do any complex retraining. They just gave RewardAnything this one simple, plain English instruction. They told it to focus on facts and accuracy and to ignore things like style or length. The results were pretty mind-blowing. RewardAnything didn't just do better, It set a new state-of-the-art record. But look at that hard cases column. That's the real story. Its accuracy jumped to over 84%. That is a massive leap over any of the previous models. To really put that into perspective, look at this chart. On the problems that were specifically designed to fool reward models, RewardAnything didn't just squeak by. It completely blew the competition out of the water, all because it was given one clear, simple rule to follow. Okay, so it can fix a known problem. That's great. But how does it do with something totally new? A principle it's never, ever seen before. To figure that out, the team built a whole new benchmark called RewardAnything, specifically to test how well a model can adapt all sorts of different rules on the fly. And once again, it absolutely crushed it. RewardAnything scored an overall accuracy of almost 82%. To give you some context, that puts it right on par with one of the most powerful and flexible models on the planet, GPT 4.1. It's incredibly adaptable. But for me, this next part is the most powerful evidence of all. This isn't a benchmark, it's a real-world case study on aligning an AI for a very tricky, very nuanced safety task. Look at this comparison. The prompt is for something clearly harmful. Now, a standard model gives you the standard blunt refusal. You've probably seen it before. But look at the response from the model that was aligned using RewardAnything. It also refuses, of course, but it does it with empathy. It acknowledges the user's feelings, explains why the action is harmful, and then it offers genuinely helpful advice. It's not just a better refusal, it's a fundamentally more responsible and helpful interaction. So when you put this all together, what are we really looking at? It's not just a small improvement. This really points to a whole new paradigm, a completely new way of thinking about how we align AI with what we want. Think about what this opens up. We get way more flexibility. We can steer AI with just a few words. This makes the whole process more transparent because the rules are right there in plain sight, not buried deep inside the data. We can directly tell the AI to avoid biases. And maybe most importantly, this could make AI alignment more democratic, potentially letting a much wider group of people have a say in how these powerful tools behave. And this is the big question this leaves us with. This incredible new capability also raises a profound challenge. As this technology gets easier to use, the problem shifts from being a technical one to a societal one. If anyone can write the rules that guide an AI, who gets to decide which rules are the right ones?